Fight fans, buckle up. President Trump sets date target for UFC White House event. UFC White House just took a giant step out of rumor land. President Donald Trump announced the proposed event is targeted for June 14, 2026, which is not only his 80th birthday, but also perfectly timed ahead of the United States' 250th Independence Day celebrations in July.
And on June 14th, next year, we're going to have a big UFC fight at the White House, right at the White House, on the grounds of the White House.
The announcement came during remarks to service members at Naval Station Norfolk in Virginia. If that date holds, it would mark a rare Sunday showcase for the UFC, which traditionally runs its pay-per-views and fight nights on Saturdays. On the UFC side, CEO Dana White has said June was the working window, but he's also been consistent about the practical hurdles. Security, production footprint, and overall logistics remain the primary focus before a single matchup gets inked. White has not committed Conor McGregor or Jon Jones to the lineup. Both have volunteered publicly. And he's stressed that conversations about actual fights will only begin once the operational plan is fully mapped. One other tangible detail: White has referenced an estimated $700,000 post-event bill to repair the White House lawn, underscoring just how unusual and complex this production would be. If the UFC really throws down on the South Lawn June 14, 2026, who do you want on the marquee? McGregor, Jones, Pereira, someone else? Drop your dream main event in the comments, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the card build when it starts. Manager says Magomed Ankalaev should never have fought at UFC 320. In the wake of UFC 320, former light heavyweight champion Magomed Ankalaev absorbed a shocking 80-second TKO loss to Alex Pereira. Now his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, says Ankalaev entered the rematch severely compromised. In a public statement, Abdelaziz wrote, "Alex was the best man on Saturday night. We take our losses like men. We move on. There's a lot of things happened with Ankalaev in his camp, but it's for him to talk about, not me. If it was up to me, he should never have fought due to some things. But he's a grown man. He makes his own decisions, and he lives by his actions." While Abdelaziz didn't detail specifics, reporting that followed pointed to a rib injury about 20 days before UFC 320. Video surfaced of a doctor examining the area, and journalist Leo Guimarães reported that part of Ankalaev's team pushed to pull him from the fight, but the decision was not unanimous. None of that changes the official outcome. Pereira swarmed, dropped Ankalaev with a right hand, and forced the finish with follow-up shots and straight-down elbows. But it does offer context as to why Ankalaev never found a gear before the stoppage. Until Saturday, Ankalaev had not lost since his 2018 UFC debut, a last-second submission to Paul Craig, and he'd compiled a 14-fight unbeaten run that included a win over Pereira in March. Post-fight, Ankalaev addressed supporters with a short statement about resilience and faith, thanking those who stayed and those who didn't. The next move is his to announce, including whether he'll publicly confirm the rib injury and how he intends to reset following his first defeat in 6 years. Dana White refutes claim that McGregor is already booked for the White House card. Conor McGregor has loudly campaigned to make his long-awaited return at the UFC White House event, even suggesting he's in direct talks with the president's staff. Dana White pushed back after UFC 320, clarifying that no fight negotiations have begun for the White House show and that the UFC won't even start matchmaking for that card until February.
Secondly, to be the first one to bring it up, Conor McGregor at the White House feels like every other day he's, making some public comments saying he's negotiating directly with the White House about getting the fight. It just feels like that's the most preeminent guy. Can you just talk about where talks are about Conor's return, White House or otherwise?
We're still talking about the production and how everything's going to work at the White House. We have not started negotiating any fights for the White House yet. That won't even start till February.
And then finally,
I made it clear Conor wants to fight on that card, and you can clearly see Conor is very fired up to fight on that card, but nothing is done yet. And no fights are being negotiated with the White House.
White's current priority is launching the UFC's new broadcast era with Paramount in January on a massive card. After that, the company turns fully to the White House event. White didn't downplay McGregor's star power or Conor's eagerness, but he kept the message clear: production and security first, opponents later. He did, however, raise expectations for the scope of the South Lawn lineup, calling it the greatest fight card ever assembled in UFC history. Translation: the roster will be stacked, but there's nothing to announce yet, and there won't be until the UFC's internal timelines say go. Alex Pereira says he's pretty sure he broke his foot during the 80-second finish. Newly recrowned light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira turned the Ankalaev rematch into a highlight that will run for years, but he didn't walk out unscathed. Speaking at the UFC 320 post-fight press conference, Pereira said he's pretty sure his foot is broken. He outlined the sequence: attack Ankalaev's inside calf, a tactic he said he borrowed from Jan Blachowicz' success. See Ankalaev switch, then throw another low kick in the wrong range, catching the tip of his foot on the leg. Seconds later, he landed a crushing right hand, followed Ankalaev to the mat, and finished with punches and 12-6 elbows before referee Herb Dean stepped in. This isn't the first time Pereira has fought through a lower extremity injury in victory. After blasting Jamahal Hill in April 2024, he revealed a fractured toe, then still returned on short notice to headline UFC 303 in June. The extent of the UFC 320-foot injury remains to be determined, imaging and treatment plan pending, but Pereira said his target return is the UFC White House event in June 2026. He also reiterated his preference for a heavyweight super fight next, and clarified that if he makes that jump, it's not to face Tom Aspinall or Cyril Gane. The name he wants is the same one he intended to call out before he chose to dedicate his mic time to a moment of silence for Arthur Jones: John Jones. Tom Aspinall reacts to Pereira's win: "I was wrong." UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall had picked Magomed Ankalaev to repeat against Alex Pereira. After watching Pereira end it in 120, he went on his YouTube channel and said it flatly: "I was wrong."
Ankalaev just doesn't seem to be able to get anything off so far. Pereira keeping a perfect distance here. Ankalaev switched orthodox now. I don't know why. Wait, he's not usually orthodox. Oh! He's caught him. He's like pulled guard on him. He's covering up, he must be hurt. Oh, he's using the 12-6s. He's not, he's going to get stopped. Boom. There it is. What's that? 1 minute? 1 minute 20? Something like that? 1 minute 30? Pereira just absolutely ran through and look, I was wrong. That's very, very, very impressive.
Does he move to heavyweight now, or does he fight Yuri, or what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm sure that's his decision. Who's next for Pereira? See what he wants to do. Ulberg's just won. Ulberg's very good. Maybe I know he's been talking about coming to heavyweight, so see what the UFC want to do.
Aspinall called the performance very, very, very impressive and mused about what could come next for Poatan. He mentioned Carlos Ulberg as a surging light heavyweight off a big win and acknowledged the chatter about Pereira moving to heavyweight. Pereira, for clarity, doubled down in a post-fight UFC interview: if he moves up, it's for a super fight. At the White House against John Jones. Not Aspinall, not gone. Aspinall, meanwhile, defends his heavyweight crown against Cyril Gane on October 25 at UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi. Whatever happens there, Pereira's priority is unchanged: White House, heavyweight, Jones. Your turn. If Pereira's foot heals up and the White House super fight becomes real, do you want Pereira versus John Jones on the South Lawn, or should Poatan defend at 205 first? And should McGregor be on that card at all? Sound off below, then smash subscribe and tap the bell so you're here the moment the February matchmaking dominoes start falling.